Thank you once again. Thank you once again for tuning in to the Frontline show on IntellectualRadio.com. I'm your host, Tyrome Muhammad. Listen, we have a great show today. And this brother I'm about to introduce y'all to, he really need no introduction. But since you don't know him, I will introduce him. Brother Bruce Carr. How you doing, brother?
Good. How are you?
I thank you for coming and being a part of the show today.
Man, it better be a great show. I
Hey
drove
man,
4.5
if you
hours
hear,
to come back. Better
if
be
you
good.
hear,
Better be good.
this man made a 4-hour trip. You was where?
Cincinnati.
Cincinnati, and he do a opportunity tour, right? Is that what it's
Yes,
called?
sir.
And I'm gonna let him break it down and explain to you all what that means. And I'm telling you, man, y'all in for an exciting show. I'm expecting your call-ins because once this brother get through talking and explaining to you all our mission, his mission rather, and I'm empowering black men, black communities, and young men all over the country. You're gonna call in. I'm sure you will. And that number is 708-223-8953. You see it? 708-223-8953. We're looking forward to your calls, comments, suggestions, and opinions. Uh, Bruce, please tell the people about you, who you are, and man, really, how did you come about um, this process, this opportunity tour, and all the Black Men Will Vote 2020, all the different ideas, amongst other ideas that I've heard you express.
Um, well, the opportunity tour is kind of a wrap up of a 5-year commitment that I made to America. So for the last 5 years, I've been on tours, and some have been political tours. Other ones campaign for education. And in the midst of COVID, when you see data that says half of America's black businesses will close, it becomes alarming. So what I did when the law passed on the 27th, I went to Kinko's, printed down the 880 pages and read the law.
Wait, which law?
The CARES Act.
The CARES
So
Act.
the CARES Act is the law that said what the money should have been dispersed for that came out for COVID.
I've heard that. People have even told me you need to talk to the mayor about this CARES money. This CARES Act.
Yeah.
I'm just saying they've said that. And I'm like, what is this CARES
So
Act?
specifically, there's different pools of money, but the money I was focused on was the federal money, meaning you had an EIDL, you could have got a grant or a loan, and then you had the PPP, which was the paycheck protection.
Mhm.
So those were the dollars initially that was available. As time has went on, cities, counties, and states have got millions of dollars to supplement small businesses. And overall, when you have a law that says it is the SBA's job by law to make sure that they write guidelines that ensures that these underserved and socially economically disadvantaged business owners get money. Not only were they supposed to get money, they were supposed to be prioritized in processing and disbursement. Well, we know that didn't happen in the first 350 billion because it went to the larger companies. So when they reallocated the next money, we have been writing SBA saying, hey, your rules are not working. We need to do something. And they never did. So our process at that point was, you give people information, what would work, and we were ignored. So we protested SBA across the country in May. We went to five states. We went to Dallas. Chicago was one of them. Matter of fact, when I got downtown Chicago, Michigan, they had about 50 police waiting on me. So I said, are y'all here for me?
Because of the protest?
Yeah, I protest a little different.
Okay.
Yeah, just information, and I don't do all the no justice, no peace, because we have an economic end at every protest. Cincinnati, Detroit, and Atlanta. Our goal was to occupy SBA. Unfortunately, George Floyd was killed, so you had too many people in the streets. So what we did was we decided to go ahead, if there was enough evidence that they had broken the law and they had disenfranchised businesses. So we filed a lawsuit on June 19th. We marched from Black Wall Street to the federal courthouse and filed a $150 billion lawsuit on behalf of 2 million businesses that were closed because the SBA broke the law. So
when you say 2 million businesses, you talking about all of the business, or are you talking about black businesses?
well, the majority, so a business in the law qualified, if you were a barber, massage therapist, independent contractor, that's a business. So when you couple them up, that could be just 2 million of them. But if they're saying half, that means businesses with less than 10 employees. That was our argument. So now that the lawsuit's filed, we need to go find those businesses that's out there and say, hey, first of all, we filed a lawsuit that you should qualify based on this criteria. Second, you need to be around because in the new money, which is the HEROES Act that they haven't passed, Congress has agreed that moving forward, they're going to allocate money for businesses with 10 employees and under, which is a win. And in any other appropriations, they're going to recognize those businesses. So the lawsuit's filed, and now we need to go let people know. It's one thing to say something's available without knowing it. That's where the opportunity tour was born. So that's 85 days, 24 states and 55 cities.
So you toured for 85 days. Well, that's not a big, pretty bus. What the bus costs, about $200-300.
We ain't gonna talk about that on air.
All right, my bad. But that's a pretty bus, man. And y'all went 85 days. And how many states?
24 states, 55 cities.
55 cities. What was the response?
Well, we're in it now. We're in the middle of the tour now.
Oh,
yeah, we just kind of.
This is
Yeah,
back and forth.
we just,
we
went backwards
with your brother.
Yeah.
But so this tour, what's the next day?
So we're in Cincinnati, and then we leave Cincinnati. We head over to the state of Pennsylvania, from Pittsburgh, Philly, and we just start working. I think we're going to end up in DC on the 28th, and we just keep moving.
But Brother Bruce, really, let me pause real quick for station identification. You all just tuning in. This is the Frontline show on IntellectualRadio.com. And you're here with our good brother, Bruce Carter. And Bruce, clearly you had another profession before you started this.
I did.
So that's what I want to know. How did you get into this?
My profession is business. So
yeah.
I was telling the young lady outside, I've been doing this for 42 years.
Business
since I was 8 years old. So you learn, how we talk about hickeys in the country in the South.
Yes,
I've had every hickey from just learning.
Yes, sir.
And so seeing businesses prosper that's what's important. But more importantly, I've been out fighting for the underserved and for so long. And now we have this real opportunity because of all the resources that are flowing. And I know for a fact that after November the 3rd, that's going to dry up.
Mm-hmm.
No matter who wins the election, it's going to dry up. If COVID's around, they're going to put us on a national lockdown. And that's going to be that. If you don't get money now to sustain yourself, then you could be one of those that Forrest put an article out today that said these businesses are going to go out. So for me, I feel like it's my call. And then when I go into cities like St. Louis or Chicago, when people are saying, man, this city ain't gonna never change. You wasting your time. These people ain't right. I
love to hear that.
So I started to think, okay, once there was slavery, people never thought that could happen. Sure. So to find a brother like you, a couple more brothers, I don't need an army. I just need a few good men to stand with. We'll win. I mean, because there ain't no real fighters out there anyway.
No doubt.
These, y'all forgive me, I don't use profanity, but these half people that's elected officials, our churches that's not in the streets, that's not doing nothing, we have to call everybody out. It doesn't matter who you are.
That's right.
So when you go in on 103rd and the majority of these businesses are owned by people that don't live in the community, and you wonder why you're poor, or you go to a Black Wall Street and you see where they burn down progress, and then they just burned it down, it never came back. And so we have to know that if we were able to have a Black Wall Street 100 years ago, that there is a model. What was that model? And we have to be able to manipulate that model, but then we got to hold people in these communities responsible. So technically, we don't need money from the government because you got resources. If you got a Links card, that's a resource. Because when your link hit their account, it's money to them. It ain't food stamps on the other side.
Right.
So we have to hold these businesses accountable. And I'm talking about putting money back into the community. And for those who don't want to do it, they have to be called out, identified, and they have to be, really ostracized until they catch on. So that's one way I think we can fund cities like Chicago and St. Louis and the communities involved. We have to teach us too. We got to sacrifice. If we start to say we're going to put this company on the blacklist, you got to not eat chicken if that's all you got. You got to eat something else.
Yeah.
And you don't have to do it for a long time. They're going to look at the bottom line. Even if they gave you 1%, let's just talk about Chicago. If they gave you 1% of what the revenue was, hypothetically, we figure in these communities, they spending 2, 3, 4 million a day, 1%. And you start looking at where you would be. That's all you need. So if your business went in and you did $1,000, $1,000, can you get 1% back? But you got to give it back right there because you can't let it accumulate because it look like it's a lot of money, right? But we have to start making those demands.
I just think about us though, in general, and what you've started, and I watch you mentor young men and talk to young men about pretty much who they are, what they want to do, where they're going. It's clear we have money because foreigners wouldn't come in our community to build, and nor would banks come in our community to lend them money to build businesses in our community if our community wasn't rich.
Yeah.
Our communities are rich.
Yes.
Very, very rich. Anytime you have 3 to 4 liquor stores in a 2 or 3 block radius, and each one of them make $250,000 to $300,000 a month.
Oh,
from that community.
On a community that's trying to drink away their issues.
Drink away their issue, bro.
So I got a name for them though. Hold on. You got to keep this name. I'm gonna give this to you.
All right, give it.
Man, their little acronym is OCR. This is these businesses that don't want to participate.
OCR.
Yeah.
What that means?
Organized. Community rapist.
Yeah. I call them bloodsuckers of the poor.
Yeah.
But it's the same thing.
Yeah. So
I'm gonna use that.
And that's what we got to do.
Because you know what? Sometimes you have to shame people to make them get what's happening to them.
Yeah.
You almost have to tell people they being raped.
That's what you are.
Because if I go, it's like I say they sucking your blood. Then I
ain't bleeding.
Suck my blood, but I don't see that. But when you think of rape in the term of community raping and what that means, no, you're not physically raping no bodies. But you physically, you taking the resources.
If you leave my community bare.
Yeah.
Typically when there's a rape, there's no clothes. Yeah. Something's wrong with the clothes. So my community's bare. And I believe that why it has failed in the past, because that's what I heard all day. That's not gonna work. We done tried that. I said, well, maybe you didn't break it down the right way. I think it has to have an immediate purpose for instant gratification. So we have these children that may or may not be in school due to COVID. And one of the things that we've seen happen is that our kids lack internet in a lot of our homes. So what we should be doing is basically going to these business owners saying, here's the deal. We're going to take this first round of money, 1% of what you make. 1%.
Yeah, 1%.
That's it. You make 100, give us $1.
But you only being nice.
Give us one. I'll take the 1.
I need 20.
I'll take the 1.
Okay.
Let me tell you why I can take the 1. See, now I can take the 1 to get our community to understand the value they have.
Yeah.
So if that 1%, and I'm on 103rd, and I don't even know another crossroad that's been on 103rd. But if I'm there and I can put computers and internet in each one of these homes, and the only way your internet stay on is they got to give the money.
Exactly.
And so the minute they don't give the money, your internet go off, you ain't going in there.
No, or you're going to the store.
Right. So now there's a reason for the everyday person. So typically the majority of your business comes from within a 1 mile radius.
Yeah.
Those is gonna walk, come. So if the person is benefited right there, you only got to break one of them. You need one store to fill it, and the other ones will comply because it's just what's right. And so that's something I want us to work on.
Bruce, we're gonna build on that idea, and I'm with you on that. I've had some initiative. You'll see it where I
we
got
ain't
some,
throwing no bricks. We ain't doing none of that.
man.
We ain't going to jail.
Hold on.
We ain't going to jail. We ain't going to jail.
Hold on, Bruce. Hold on now. Sometimes people have to throw bricks.
We're gonna throw them a different way.
No. Sometimes people have to throw rocks to knock out a giant.
That's fine.
Listen, the brick ain't no different today. It just morphed into a brick. The rock been thrown. There's nothing new under the sun to throw a rock and knock out a giant, according to the book.
So here's how we're gonna get it.
So, but I'm with you though.
I think the greatest thing we can do is learn how to fight an economic war.
Mm-hmm.
We've done the war on drugs, the war on poverty, all that stuff loses. But if you get the money right, you get the opportunities right, some of these other systemic issues will go away.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the, not all, but I've had.
No, economics will fix 99% of your problems.
Right. And so
that 1% we can deal with.
We'll fix that because we can control our own space. But when you have young men who I say are masking their issues, their value, the worth that they don't have within themselves because they gotta have some weed and alcohol or they can't function. Or you find out young women in their early 20s is waking up to a blunt and a shot of Patron because the day just don't look good without that. Exactly. So those are some of the things that we have to provide the opportunities, and we got to fight for that. So whatever I got to do to get the opportunities, I'm in for that, like whatever it takes. So this journey across the country is just one of them, whatever it takes. But, for me and you, I think that we can get in good trouble.
Yeah.
We got to get in some good trouble, but we need some brothers who has that X in front of their name. They've been there. They understand that what trouble look like. And now they get a chance to do something good, to potentially right some of the wrongs that they did in their own communities. And I think that's the biggest call out tonight.
Right. That, and I've been talking about this for the longest, for the last 3 years, that vote, man, that ex-felon vote is the biggest voting block, potentially biggest voting block in this country. Listen, in Chicago alone, 30,000 ex-felons come home a year. You hear what I'm saying? That means they made it, went back in, but they're always coming home. 30,000 ex-prisoners return back to the communities that they was removed from.
How long do you have? What's the voting? What's the rights? How does it work?
You have a right to vote, period, except when you're incarcerated.
But what if you're on parole or on
yes,
probation?
You have a right to vote.
You still can vote.
See, in Texas, you can't. See, and that's another thing as ECCSC stretch out and take itself national. Those are going to be some of the issues we'll be suing the states for. And
it's double jeopardy for
it's double jeopardy for us. People that's just tuning in, you listen to Mr. Bruce Carter. This is Intellectual Radio. I'm Tyrome Muhammad. This is the Frontline show. You're welcome to call in at 708-223-8953. That's 708-233-8953. If you have any questions or comment for Mr. Bruce Carter, please give us a call. We're looking forward to hearing from you. But this is the thing I want to say in light of that before we go to the vote, because we still have time to talk about how powerful that vote is, because with that ex-felon, he brings at least 5 to 10 women with him.
He bringing 10.
He bringing 10. Because most people in my family, I believe, if I know, convince them they're going to vote my interest.
Every day, all day.
So we know how powerful it is. We saw the effect and how they line up with the LGBTQ group and organizations. It's time for us to realize our power. And once we start bringing that power together, we're going to get a different response. But the question I want to ask you, Mr. is, what's the deal with the legislators? What has your response been? And I'm going to say in particular, I see you rubbing your forehead, in particular, black legislators. Here in Chicago, let me say this to you, in case you don't know.
Y'all the most corrupt city in America.
Okay. Hey, you ain't lying. But let me give you some perspective so you can understand what I'm saying. Okay. From lieutenant governor, black and female. From the Cook County Board President, black and female. Police chief, black and male. We got the state's attorney, black and female. We got 18 to 20 black aldermen, male and female, of course. Then we have state reps and Congress people, black. Throughout this city, bro, our wards are not ran by white men. Our wards are ran by black people. You talking about opportunity. And every time I hear that word, I think of the opportunity lost, meaning that the licensing, the zoning, and all these things that allows you to open business, and even for banks to come in our neighborhood without lending to us, are all controlled or were by aldermen that look like you and I, and yet we're locked out of opportunities by them. So what have their response been to you?
So for those that I make contact with, I always tell them Google me. Mm-hmm. That's enough. They already know the business.
This is what you tell the legislature so that they can know.
Yeah, Google me, because my deal is to take your job.
Right.
I'm not playing no buddy-muddy games with you. I'm not getting no trouble.
Right.
But I think this is the thing we have to change. We have to stop believing that based on skin color, because that almost makes us racist. That's where our help gonna come from. Yep. So a lot of black men don't like to deal with me because I'm gonna be me. I don't care who at the table. So because you got elected, that don't mean you qualified to serve. So if I'm in a meeting and you the alderman or you the city councilman, normally what I got to say, because I'm bringing a solution. You don't have a solution. That's why I'm at the table. So some of that is there's an inferiority complex to go along with it. Yes. Do I really want this brother to shine more than me? Because some of them are glorified celebrities. You know, people in the community, man, these guys, these ladies, we applaud you for running, but you're a public servant. And the minute they get out of serving the people, you have to vote them out. So we're lazy voters. We are a lazy community. And so we create giants and monsters in there. And if we as a group of people don't do something. So when I come to Chicago, people say, where are you from? I'm from America.
That's right.
You know, my city, no, this is my city. Because if this your city, you need to be locked up for all the crime, all the poverty, all the lack, if it's your city. So now you don't like me, right? Because I'm not saying what you need me to say. So I didn't come here to deal with aldermen. I didn't come here to deal with mayors. I didn't come here to deal with none of them. No. I came to deal with the people who's been left behind. But I need those people to understand it. You have to rise up. It's one thing to protest, but what do you do after the protest? You know, I'm not excited about Black Lives Matter being on the ground, not even a knee. Tell me you're going to write a check that we can get these boys so they can go to work. So people don't want to do that. And because what they don't want to empower that black man so he can thrive. And so until we move past that, then we're going to be stuck unless 4 or 5 can assemble, and we have to treat this like we're on the block and we own the block. No doubt. It's no different.
It's no different.
And so
actually we have more conviction on a block we don't own than a country we applaud.
So what I would say, if they don't call in, ma'am, sirs, if you know an individual that's got a felony, the time is now for them to rise up. Because if they end up spending $10 billion on this election, because they're not going to be in the streets, that money is going to go into a lot of digital marketing. We can get that money. We can assist families before the vote drops. That's what's important. And by doing that, we win. Yes, sir. Because now they have to market to us at the next vote, at the alderman race, because now we know how to get something for our vote.
It's
so
numbers.
We have to disrupt the system. I call it burn it down. And for y'all on Facebook, I carry blue and red batons. I'm in the middle. I don't belong to nobody. I'm an independent thinker, and I will switch up on you in midstream if you try to do
your
wrong.
interest.
That's it.
But when are we gonna start voting our interest? Because I talk all the time about how under this current party system in the Democratic Party, we have more unemployment. We have more disenfranchisement than I've ever seen. And listen, we have a prison industrial complex that's never ending, never changed.
So let's break down truth.
Yo.
There's really not no such thing as two parties.
No.
That's what they fed us.
Yeah, ain't no question.
It's 536 people,
Mm-hmm.
100 senators, 435 congressmen, and one president. So when you go back to that funding that came out, there are Congress people that took money. They knew they couldn't do it. It's not a big issue because they all took money. So we have to stop being played by colors. If this matters, their game. They Bloods, Crips, what are they? They just put a new name on.
Bangers. We
So
know it.
That's who they are, right?
Right.
So we have to stop playing into that and make both of them court us every time. I don't care if it's the dog catcher that they're running for. Both parties should come out trying to court you. We have two white men, 70 plus, that are running in America. That's the bottom line. Neither one has cared enough about you from their existence. So you are worth one vote on November the 3rd, and you better get all you can before November 3rd, because after the vote, don't matter who wins, you just one more person. So and then if you're I don't tell people who to vote for. I'll allow you to examine everything, because I really don't think you're ignorant. I think the educated vote is the best vote in the world. But what I would like for people to do, don't tell people who you're voting for, even if you know. Tell them you're undecided.
That's right.
That makes them continually work. So the Democrat Party said, we're going to pick a black woman. Why? Because not if she was the best candidate. I'm going to pick her because that's going to make black women follow me. Mm-hmm. That's right.
That's trickery.
That's pandering.
That's trickery.
So they're saying that as long as I put a black face out there, I got that black
even
vote.
Even if it's a white man that's probably more qualified to serve you, they pandering because they know a white man is not popular in this landscape.
So because I'm undecided, I can say this. You have a black lady who's married to a white man that they pick. Mm-hmm. How black did they go?
Right, not bad.
Had I been her husband, would they have picked it?
No. Absolutely not.
We still dealing with some things that we have to be very careful of what's being done. So on the voting side, one, get educated, look at policies, and the biggest thing, determine what you want out of the vote and try to get it on the front end. You win if you do that. That's just the way it works.
You're on fire, man, with it. And once again, people, you're listening to and watching Intellectual Radio. This is the Frontline show. I'm Tyrome Muhammad, and you're listening to Bruce Carter. Man, listen, call in 708-223-8953.
I don't want to talk to y'all if y'all don't call anyway.
Yo, man,
they ain't calling anyway. I don't want to talk to Chicago no more.
Man, Chicago, man, this is my city.
This your city? Yeah. Well, you better get your city under control. I've been working, all right. Just saying.
We adopted.
Man, we got a song for them too. It's called Undecided.
Let me see how we go.
I got a song for them.
Can we ready? Let's
y'all gotta see the video too. He just did a young kid. You gotta hear this song.
You gotta send me that video.
I'm gonna give it to you.
Still undecided, not afraid to hide it, still undecided. Not afraid to hide it, yeah, we undecided. Not afraid to hide it, still undecided. Not afraid to hide it, yeah, we undecided. Not afraid to hide it, still undecided. Not afraid to hide it, yeah, we undecided. Not afraid to hide it, still undecided. Not afraid to hide it, still trying to figure out who we vote for. But if all the candidates talented, we don't know where to go. Just take a good look around the black community, bro. They tell us what we want. on their hood so they can get our vote. Then they go on to win, but we don't see them no more. That's really how it all ends. You put the money on hold, but when it's time come again, people should already know. Look at both policies, no time for favoritism. Take notes in the quote. Give a man a fish and feed him for a day. Teach a man how to fish, feed him a lifetime. A lot of young black men out in their right mind. We need to come together, this the perfect time. And yeah, I'm a first time voter. You would know everything when you get to the code. Going through the different spots, St. Louis, Minnesota. My answer's still the same, man. I thought that I told you I'm still undecided. Not afraid to hide it, still undecided. Not afraid to hide it, yeah, we undecided. Not afraid to hide it, still undecided. Not afraid to hide it, yeah, we undecided. Not afraid to hide it, still undecided. Not afraid to hide it, yeah, we undecided. Not afraid to hide it, still undecided. Not afraid to hide it. Sam Cooke said the change gon' come, but never said when. We start by picking up the batons and passing to the end. So when the election day come, we bring the numbers in. Coming in to me is strong. A lot of black men can't forget about our black women. You know they with us too. Coming through supporting black men. That's what the queen do. Most powerful piece in the game. You know that's the truth. Take all of the knowledge I've gained and give it to the youth. This a whole package deal, a 2-for-1. When we all unite, we can overcome any obstacle and task. It can be done. Get your mind off the past and see what you become. And we gotta get up and go vote. Time to change 2020, Black men will promote. And the truth is what I wrote, don't try to misquote. If you ask me who I'm voting for, just know still undecided. Not afraid to hide it, still undecided. Not afraid to hide it, yeah, we undecided. Not afraid to hide it, still undecided. Not afraid to hide it, yeah, we undecided. Not afraid to hide it, still undecided. Not afraid to hide it, yeah, we undecided. Not afraid to hide it, still undecided. Not afraid to hide it.
All right, we back. We back.
We're back, people. What's the name of that song? Still
Undecided. Undecided.
Man, that's a nice song. You said my man is about 23, 24.
23.
What's his name?
Fuddy Delight.
Fuddy Delight.
Yeah.
I need to share that. You need to get me that.
It's on YouTube. It just put it out. Undecided.
I love to hear country rap. You know, we're in a city where we're in a country where murder rap, slide music. And if you're not familiar with that, that's just guys talking about how they're gonna roll up and spray the block up, man. That's become like the prevailing message in music. How to mow each other down, man. Even when you're innocent.
Right.
You know, it doesn't matter if you on the block of my opposition, I'm gonna shoot women and kids. So when I hear young men singing and doing poetry to music about our future, right, that's hope and that's healing. And it feel good, man. I don't know the young man, and it feel good just to hear something refreshing as that, teaching the young folks, listen, hold your vote. Your vote is valuable. And all the positive messaging that's in there.
So how do we, this is a question. This is for everybody that may see this later. How do we pull ourselves together? And I'm talking about for every individual who's been through the system. And maybe you don't think you have the right to do this or do that. This is a chance for you to stand up for your family and for those people that's been there. But what's the best way to do it? I mean, I'm really going to be slighted if one person from Chicago don't call, even if you got to call in yourself.
That's Chicago for you.
Yeah, you know.
They got a million comments offline, but when it's time to...
Y'all don't be shy because y'all might help somebody. Come on, y'all. One person call in. I don't care.
Go ahead.
Somebody call in and talk to me. One person right now. No, but that's fine if they don't.
Have a million comments after you leave.
Well, so let's talk about what we do moving forward. What I would like to do is, we talk about partners, collaborators, is I believe, one, we have to have a new plan for Blacks in America. And especially for our young black males, our young ladies, they just need the opportunities and people to support them because they on fire. I mean, I met so many young women in Chicago that own businesses.
Yeah.
I mean, they doing their
For real.
thing. So now what we got to do is we got to support them. Number one, we got to put their business out there, let them know that we got their back. I don't even care if you don't use the product. Buy the product, give it to somebody that'll use it because that encourages them to keep going. That's number one. But our young males, we truly, and I'm telling you from experience, I've had probably 9 of them with me for the last month, from as young as 21 all the way to 29. And they're in a different place. Did they dial the wrong number? They try to talk to us?
They want to talk to us, man. You inspired them. They're ready.
Good.
Let's get them right on. How you doing, caller? This is the Frontline show. Say your name and your purpose.
Hey, Frontline Ty. This is Tiger.
Hey, Tiger.
Hey, Bro Bruce. Listen, nobody calling in because you spitting all facts. We listening and taking notes.
Tell them.
Oh, you just made my head so big I ain't gonna be able to walk out the door.
Go ahead,
I'm gonna have to
Tiger.
go out the door sideways.
I mean, you talked a little. Can we curse on here?
Nah.
You talked a little smack to a little shade, but we still giving you the props.
Okay, I'm sorry. I just wanted to hear y'all voice.
See, he's too busy teaching to look at the comments, Tiger. So, you got any questions?
The camera closer to y'all.
You got any questions?
No, because I agree with everything he's saying, and then he just hit on the women. So then I had to interrupt that. I'm mad y'all picked the phone right up because he was about to get on the roll about what we women doing in Chicago.
All right, well, let me continue on.
Truth,
all right.
It's great hearing it come from you, a visitor.
All right.
And you know how I feel about you, Frontline. 2 great interviews in under 2 hours. You on the roll, bro. Love y'all much.
All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So let's get back to that. We had the privilege. I actually celebrated my birthday here, and we had some. I love my sisters. They came out and brought their daughters, their business owners, and we had the privilege of doing some commercials and videos for them. But we also went out to the Pullman Community Center.
Oh, yeah.
The Chi-Town Bulldogs.
Yeah.
We got a video we did for them, for people to know. So there's some great work going on in Chicago. But once again, one of the things we're going to do that we started, met a young man in Chicago today, figure he's 20. I mean, he was excited. We're putting together a project called the Mob Project, millions of blacks for ages 16 to 27. And what we need to do is create an exchange within them, like I believe similar to Black Wall Street. Mm-hmm. And so if you have someone that's 16 to 27, they're black in America, they can go to Mob Project on Instagram, Mob Project on Facebook and and then they'll get some information. But the key is we have to meet them where they are. And when I say mob, that's millions of blacks, but it means a couple other things.
Oh, yeah.
My own boss.
Yeah.
We have to help our children get over the stuff that's happened in their lives or didn't happen, and they have to learn to be the boss. That don't mean they don't need people, but they got to be the boss. They got to figure out how to own it and get through it. We have to be real about sexual molestation. We have to talk about when fathers were not there for their children and the effects of that, all the negatives that come along with that. We got to also talk about the systems that have failed it. But right now, we got to help them become the boss of their lives. We got to help them get through it, deal with it, own it, and now it's theirs. And then the other piece, MOB stands for my own business. Entrepreneurship has to be the path. Even if they work another job, it has to be the path for them. And if they can become a great business owner, they'll be a great employee if they choose to do that. And so I'm excited for this reason. When I met Brother Muhammad and he asked me to come back, I was ready because of the work he does. And brothers who are confident in who they are, they love to be around other brothers who confident because ain't no jealousy. Man, we celebrate each other.
I wish you don't leave. You know what I'm saying? And that's real. I want to focus on that for a minute because we got a lot of black self-hate.
Oh yeah.
I'm talking about the men.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we are not what we ought to be. And what I mean is the fact that I want you to have, if I have a platform, it's your platform. Because when you rise, I rise. How you gonna lead me if I help you rise? And we don't understand that principle. That philosophy is real, man. In order to get out that barrel, man, we have to create a chain and link.
So we have to realize we have been divided ever since our existence in this country.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it was the light-skinned brother, the dark-skinned brother, whether it was the field Negro or the house Negro, whether it was the one who had a little something or didn't have a little something. Personally,
good hair, bad hair.
Yeah, good hair, bad. Now bald head, bad hair, and hair.
No hair.
So we're talking about some real systemic issues. But as I keep saying, it doesn't take 1,000 brothers to change this. You got to have enough brothers that's willing to be a part of the change and those who willing to suffer through the change. I think the little song said, Sam Cooke said, a change is going to come. He didn't say when. He didn't say who was going to bring it. But in the song, he did say, I went to my brother not me. So this is something that's been going on for a long time. And I don't need no more shine. You know, I've done the things that ordinary people don't even think of doing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the question becomes, they say Chicago can't be changed. I say it can be. I say that we can start tonight creating a change. We're not going to see all the change immediately, but if we change one block at a time, where that block becomes a safe haven and it becomes a wealth-producing block for that community, the duplication can happen. But unfortunately, give me 5 brothers and 1,000 women, we'll change the city. Man. I'm just being real.
Well, no. Our women have been on the front line. They queens for real, man. They've been on the front line and they've held out weak, cowardly. I almost said a word. They held us down, man. They still holding us down, man.
So the song said,
strong women is great.
They said
no
the strongest piece in the game of chess.
Yeah.
And we're playing the ultimate game of chess right now. I mean, and this is a sad part. This is a guarantee. After November the 3rd, when the ball drops, whether it's the same president or a new president, that recession they don't like to talk about, the shutdown, the reshifting is going to happen. And if you know someone, and now I'm talking to Chicago, y'all ain't going to like me for this one. Chicago has the highest amount of fraud in the EIDL.
Wow. Tell them what that
and is. They didn't even have to do it.
They say, what is that?
That's that grant that people were happy to get the $10,000 for. And they didn't have to do it because they had all the rights. But we're going to get back on that. We got to call them.
Hey, caller, Intellectual Radio, Frontline show, Tyrome, Muhammad, go.
Hi, Tyrone. This is Cynthia. Thank you for allowing me to speak. And also, thanks for your hard work and you moving around in the community, trying to make a positive impact on others. I just wanted to say, in regards to what you guys are talking about as far as change, of course, we all know the change starts with you. I thank you for that time that you came out with us to the basketball court and spoke to the guys.
Yes, ma'am.
That's what's needed. We need enough people to come out and be a positive force and face for the youth, because it starts there. Because there's nothing for the kids to do. They've been in the pandemic. They've been at home. There's no resources. And so what do we expect them to do? Go outside and do whatever it is they do, which for the most part is get in trouble. So we need people like yourself and others to continue to, as you say, be on the front line to get the voices heard, to be able to talk to some of these aldermen, politicians, and preachers, that's getting all this money, to put this money back in the community so we can have resources and so these kids can have things to do.
Thank you, Cynthia, and thank you for the work you do. I wouldn't have came out if it was not for you inviting me to your program, and I was happy to be there, and I'm gonna come again whenever you call me.
I appreciate that. We'll definitely be calling you soon.
All right, sister, appreciate it.
So, Miss Cynthia, you didn't talk to me, but I'm gonna say something.
She wait.
Here's what I say should happen. You should start protesting these aldermen.
That's no calling.
No calling.
Don't tell them.
Don't call them no more. Start protesting their offices, protesting their houses. Protest the preacher. He ain't above reproach. if you know a church is bringing in resources and they're not serving the community, protest them, because here's the other thing about us is
and I ain't tell him to say that, y'all. See, we a man after my heart. Earl, no, I always talk about that. And you're a man after my own heart. The moment we connected, I already knew that's the brother and kindred spirit. So
put them under pressure, because what they'll do is the vast majority will comply. If they believe it's going to cost them their job, they'll do it. But the pastor, some things he can't pray his way off. He got to serve his way out. So call them to the table and make them do what's right, because I don't know what church is here, but church has got $7.7 billion of that CARES Act money.
Wait. Listen, that's real, because I read that out of how many was it? 100 or more Catholic Church, over what, 70 or so received it?
They got money.
They got it.
So I would be knocking on the doors of these churches. Whoever got resources, you're coming in saying, look, you got money, we need that to come to the community. Because ultimately, as she said, our children already got 1,000 things not going right in their lives based on zip codes and past history. So they got all this bottled up, mixed emotion happening, and things are gonna go wrong. You know, I had a lady that works for the alderman office or something today tell me in a meeting, she cried when they went down on Magnificent Mall. I said, did you cry when those kids got shot this weekend?
Right.
Did you cry when the baby got killed? Did you cry when the two sisters got murdered because they was trying to stand up and fight for justice? What are you crying for? They got insurance.
And they have generational wealth.
So we have to hold our leaders like beyond accountable. And I'm sorry, y'all. That thing about they're black does not give me a higher belief that they're going to do right by me. Who are they? Who were they before they got elected? And what is the work that I can identify them for? If you've been in office for 2 decades and we got issues, you're part of the problem. I don't care how nice you are. I don't care how you show up. Eventually, you cannot get the job done. And we have to be steadfast. And sisters, women, mothers, y'all got to help us with our brothers. Y'all control it. Y'all got to tell them, man, look, y'all need to go stand with them brothers. Stand behind them if you're scared, but get with them. Because we can create leverage with that. But we have to do it for our children at every level. So if you're a mother, help us get to these brothers that won't call in, that's too manly to make contact, but they're not too manly to go support the house. So we all play a very small role, but if we are successful in our individual roles, then we're going to be successful as a collective. And I think that's what's important, is learning how to win together.
Yeah.
That way there is no jealousy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
that's right.
If we win together. But that's what's important. So
before Earl start wrapping me up in a little while, I want you to let the people know how to find you. We're not done, but I just want to get that out the way. How to find you, your next tour, your website, your Instagram, your Twitter. Give it to them, and even if they can call you somewhere.
You know, this is what I do to make it easy. You know, I'm a cell phone guy. I got all these social media people that run the social media. It ain't me, it's them.
That's right.
So depends on what you want to talk about. If you want to talk about the Opportunity Tour, it's just opportunitytour.org, and that's what it is on social media. If it's the voting, your brother want to get involved, it's BMWV 2020. And it's that on the social outlets. And, you know, I'm a servant of the people. My cell phone number that I got in my hand is 202-907-1760. I get up at 4 a.m. every morning, 7 days a week. You call me at 4:01, we're going to have a conversation. Call me after 9:01 p.m., we ain't having no conversation. But
I need to practice that.
but that works, right?
Right.
Because this commitment of 5 years, I believe that I've seen so much, and this is my 5th year. So now it's time to put all this to work. I believe that I have enough information to truly create the change, meaning it's solution based. It's not a program. So as we continue to work to open up our schools, which are our trade schools, here's the guarantee we have. If you come to our trade school at the end of a 4-year path, when you get multiple, we guarantee you home ownership. You will have all the tools and will own a home. So imagine if you're 18 and you own a home at 22. I mean, you beat the odds.
Oh, man.
You don't have to worry about homelessness. And so when people run into issues with renters, if we learn how to get along with each other, you now can come in my room and help pay me so I can keep my mortgage tight or I can move to the next level. The bottom line, we got to fight through all the things that slavery has done. That's number one, because there are some real issues there. We have to learn how to communicate. If me and you have an issue, man, let's talk about the issue. It's okay. And we don't do that enough. We get mad, we cuss each other out, and now in a kid's case, because they don't fight, they pick a gun up. Right. And then a lot of the things, they see us not learning how to communicate as grown-ups. You know, and if you one of these mothers, as much as I love y'all, stop cussing your kids out like they grown folks. You put anger in your kids, it's gonna come out at some point. So there's just some things we got to do collectively as people to get better. And that's what it is. I tend to tell the young guys I mentor, I became a man at 31. At 31 years old, I became a man. I placed a value on women. My mouth got really clean. And I started to look at every day as my last day. And my life just was better that way. And so it's never too late, but change is really hard. And it's a commitment. And you got to be committed to that no matter what. Don't let somebody take you off your square. If nothing, if you can't get along with them, stay away from them. Right. You ain't got to kill them. You ain't got to cuss them out. You ain't got to write them off. Just stay away from them. And so, but that's the value. And so in every relationship, whether it's a business relationship, whether it's a other kind of relationship, whether it's a parent and a child relationship, as long as everyone knows their value in the relationship, we're good. Yeah. And so when I met the queen, I knew the queen's value because it was stated. Because she came in like she was the queen today, right? So what we have to do is we have to make sure that we love ourselves first and foremost, and we become the boss of our own mistakes, our own life, and then everything else will work itself out. So
man, that's wonderful, brother. Once again, you know, it's I'm happy to have met you, and we joined at the hip now, you know. So
we finna make it happen.
I plan to do some of that touring with you.
If you don't, before we leave, here's what we want to do. Hold on, no, before we leave, because we don't have long. No, this is serious. So what I want us to do, and I'm talking to brothers who may see this later, I want to have a series of undecided rallies where we come together as brethren and we undecided. And I want it to be like we're going to a concert. And what that does is it creates that mystique, that interest that these brothers are going to make it happen. And I don't care if we do it in the field or we do it in the stadium, we'll mask up, we'll have sanitizer, we'll have shirts on, but people know that this is happening. And anytime you see black men come together and they not yelling and they're strategizing, man, it's scary and it's powerful.
Well, we're gonna talk about that and we're gonna build on that. I'm interested in we're gonna do it in Chicago. So let's put that together and make it happen. So people, thank you all for tuning in to Intellectual Radio. And we'll see you back again next week at the same time. Peace out, love, and, be respectful.
Still undecided. Not afraid to hide it, still undecided. Not afraid.